Hey all, here at OS Reviews. You're watching our video first look and hands-on review of the MGCool Band 3. This is their smartwatch slash smartband that is very much budget priced, and it sells for only 15 bucks. And for the price, you're getting an optical heart rate sensor, a OLED display which is energy efficient, and a waterproof design. It can track your sleep as well as activities like walking, running, jogging, and it uses the app to combine those statistics and present it in a fairly organized way. It does have pretty good battery life and endurance that can last up to 30 days before you need to recharge it, which is really impressive. It almost gets into Xiaomi Amazfit territory as far as endurance, at least on paper. Otherwise, it charges up in under 2 hours. Also has a vibration motor if you want to set it up to get notifications and reminders on Twitter, Facebook, WeChat, etc. Packaging is very simple. Now, MGCool, of course, we saw them produce a pretty good budget-oriented action camera a few weeks ago, and now this is their first wearable that we're checking out. So they are making quite a few different smartphone peripherals these days, and this is the watch. We'll take a closer look at it in a second. Down below here, we have the charging Cradle. It uses contact pins, pogo pins, and a clip to be plugged into power. There's also the instruction manual that is documented in color, tells you the OLED display, the contact pins, and the QR code that you can download for the app on the Play Store as well as in the iOS store. Also gives you a sedentary reminder, so once you've been sitting down for too long, it's going to vibrate and tell you to get up and move around. So again, we've seen quite a few generations of these trackers and low-cost activity devices lately, so they have been getting, again, pretty accurate as far as the technology, and also the pricing has dropped significantly. Alright, so this is what the design is like. It's not the most exciting look. It is fairly generic, but at the same time it is very thin and portable. The screen here is a very glossy plastic material, which means it will attract a bit of fingerprint and wear and tear, but at the same time it kind of hides the display when it's not turned on, which is a pretty cool feature. Here's the optical sensor, which is made out of tempered glass, the contact pins, and then the band itself is non-removable, but it is a one-size-fit-all made out of silicone for both men and women alike, and there is the MGCool logo embedded on the side of the metal. Alright, so let's take a closer look at the app and performance next. The app is simply called Wear Fit 2.0, and this is actually a generic app that isn't exclusive just to MGCool's Band 3. It works with a number of fitness trackers we've seen in the past. And the good news is the interface here is fairly clean, simple, and the connection range with Bluetooth seems quite stable in my testing. I had no dropped signals, and simply dragging down on the main panel will refresh the information and connect once again using Bluetooth. So this process is fairly quick, and I had no real bugs or problems. Under the Profile tab, you can create an account, and you can sign in to create an email and a password, which will securely encrypt your data and also allow you to access some additional advanced features. You can also manage things like your height and your step length, things like this, better calibrate the accelerometer or the motion sensor on the tracker so it knows how vigorous of a motion should be corresponded to a step depending on your height. So be sure to update this correctly. Afterwards, you can see that on the main page, I have the ability to see how many steps I've taken. Sleep tracking is done automatically. You don't have to press any keys, so you simply have to lie down, and once it detects that you haven't been moving for some time, it will say that you've fallen asleep. There's also a heart rate sensor that tells you your continuous heart rate. It will try to take a measurement every few hours and record it. What's interesting here is it also tells you your fatigue and training plans. These are extra features we don't typically see on low-cost trackers. The fatigue is basically done by estimating your heart rate in combination with steps you've taken throughout the day, just to see if you're tired or not. And then the training plans is an interesting feature. You have to log in first, but then you can set specific goals for yourself, such as I want to walk 10,000 or 20,000 steps a day, or reach that by a certain week, and it will push you and try to remind you to do that. So there's a bit more of an active process with this. Otherwise, you can also take a look at my weekly health. It gives you your health score based on looking at how many steps you've taken throughout the week, if you've matched your goal, and also your sleep health, and it averages all these things together to give you a score. So it's a pretty nice intuitive interface that combines all this data in an accessible way that most consumers would want to use. You do get a lot of details with the data and statistics that you can visualize in a number of ways, more than on an average fitness tracker, I would say. Under steps, you can not only see, steps taken throughout a specific point in time, distance, calories burned, but also your goal. And it tells you some scientific data that will actually change depending on the number of steps you're taking. So it tells you how many minutes you should be walking, things like that. So it's slightly intelligent. So it definitely does a bit more than your average fitness tracker in this sense. Same thing with sleep. It will tell you this information, and then also the number of hours of sleep that you should be getting. And then, of course, we can take a look at our heart rate. And what's interesting here is it's a continuous heart rate measurement. So once you open up this app, it will try and track it immediately. If we go over to the software on the watch next, you can see I have it next to the Amazfit Bip. You can see it's actually about the same thickness. It's actually a little slimmer. The Bip is already one of the smallest fitness tracker smartwatches that I have, so this really shows how small and compact it is. So swiping once turns on the OLED display, and what's really interesting about the interface, you can tell right away, is that right from the main screen, there's also a heart rate measurement. So that means that the heart rate sensor, can be turned on at all times, and it's basically always on, recording your continuous measurement, and you can see how it changes and fluctuates from second to second. This can give you a lot of accurate data if you want to record a session onto the phone when you're in a specific run or in a specific program. But on the downside, it does drain power a little bit more since the sensor is technically going to be always activated. However, it's a pretty cool feature. There's also the time and date information, connection status, battery info that you can see. Next one is dedicated for heart rate, once more for number of steps, once more for distance, calories burned, hours slept, and there's also a stopwatch feature that you can activate, a Find My Phone feature. So activating this will make the phone ring and vibrate, and vice versa. You can use the app to find the tracker. There's a firmware information, and then it goes back again. So it's pretty intuitive, not too much surprises, and the touch sensor is just down below here. So the entire screen itself isn't going to be touch sensitive, but everything works pretty well, and it feels quite fluid and responsive. The screen itself is bright enough so that even if you are outdoors, you should still be able to read it reasonably well. You can see here next to the e-paper display, it does a fairly good job of remaining visible. It is, of course, fully waterproof, so it's pretty durable, it's comfortable to wear, it's really lightweight, and overall it fits quite well on the hand. Accuracy of the measurements are also fairly precise. You can see that I'm not wearing it right now, and it's smart enough to know not to take the measurement to conserve on battery here. But overall, the steps as well as heart rate, beats per minute, seems to match more or less the results that I found on the Amazfit Bip and some other trackers that I have lying around. So pretty accurate as far as these low-cost trackers are concerned. Obviously, they're not medical grade, but at the same time, they give you a good gauge of what's going on. You can see there's also the ability to read very quick notifications, such as small emails or text messages that are coming in that you can also manage through social media. It's a very small screen here. It definitely doesn't take up quite the extent of something like Samsung's Galaxy Wear or, again, the Bip. So you're a little bit more limited by what you would want to read anyways, but you can at least see phone numbers that are coming in, and then you can pick up your phone if you want to answer the phone call or reply to the full text message. So that at least is a feature on board. All right, so some last things I want to talk about with the app is that there's also the ability to manage your band in terms of taking a look at how much battery life is remaining. You can also set it up so there is the gesture where flicking up the band will automatically turn on the display. Tapping on the plus key, you can also either find the bracelet, and when you tap on that, it's going to vibrate, as you can hear there. You can also use it to take an image, so it becomes basically a selfie remote. And from here, I can basically tap on the key once to take an image, as you can see there. It's a slight delay, but it's not too bad. And after you tap on it, it captures the shot on the camera. So it works pretty well if you are trying to capture multiple friends and family, and you just want to tap on this to capture an image instead for quicker navigation. Alright, so that has been the MGCool Band 3. Overall, I think that this is a pretty good value for the money. It's crazy to see how $15 in 2017, 2018 can get you such a fully featured fitness tracker, to be honest. Battery life seems to be quite good. In my testing, I got over 15 days so far, and it's still going fairly strong. I haven't charged it yet. So I do believe that battery life will be pretty similar depending on how often you sync the data with your phone to maybe a Xiaomi Amazfit band. Band. The display itself is on the smaller side, but for $15, you really can't complain. Has a lot of features from notifications to being a selfie camera remote to telling your heart rate, your fatigue level, and some small notifications. I really like the fact that it has continuous heart rate monitoring. That's quite a nice feature because it saves you the time of having to wait 30 seconds for the measurement to come in. It's always going to be on when you tap on it. Also gives you more data to analyze through the app. So if you are looking for a low-cost fitness tracker that doesn't break the bank, but also functions for those tracking, sleep tracking, and heart rate tracking needs, then this is a good option to consider. Thanks for watching this video here at OS Reviews. This has been the MGCool Band 3 low-cost fitness tracker.